is called the Baggage Bogs Visitor Center. It's one of the few National Forest Service visitor centers. This is Portage Lake. When they built this visitor center in the late 1900s, the glacier came out here, Portage Glacier, out. You can see out the window of the visitor center to see the glacier. Now the glacier is so far receded, it's back behind that little cove on the right. That was just a teaser tunnel. The real tunnel is coming up.
We all got excited.
So the other coach that came, they left a little before us. They're actually right ahead of us, and another one. I'm not sure what the other one is. We'll see. It's a ship day with Princess, so that could be a good thing that the tunnel is open maybe a little bit longer. It's actually not. It's just barely a quarter till now, so we'll see. The good news is the boat's not going to leave without either coach here. So. Yeah, the question was you have to pay to use the tunnel. For cars, I think it's $14 now to go to Whittier, and it's like a get out of jail free card. There's no charge getting out of Whittier. So, once you see Whittier, you might understand. It's a very small town. Almost everyone lives in one building. The boat will have restrooms on it. In Prince William Sound, you're generally protected from motion sickness. No guarantees, of course, but it's a possibility. And you might have some motion sickness, but let's hope not. They should have some remedies on the boat. What you'd probably do if you think you might have some motion sickness is to take something right when you get on the boat. It usually takes about a half hour to work. Okay, so it looks like we will be here for about 40 minutes. So I'm going to get on the phone and talk to the boat company, make sure they know, which is actually fine. The boat departure time was scheduled for 2:30. It'll be 2:45. We'll be the first ones on into the tunnel at 2:30. and so we're only maybe 15 minutes behind schedule when that happens. Marmot. 40. It's a tough one. Dolly Varden is a type of fish. 41. Also fish, a rockfish. 42. Dragonfly. 43. It's a hard one. A great horned owl. That's one of the best sightings I had of an owl, was a great horned owl and two babies in Denali National Park. 44. Arctic tern. That's a bird. It has the largest migratory route of any bird. It goes to Antarctica for the winter. 8 to 10,000 miles each way. 45. Grizzly bear. 46. That's a tough one. It's a mew gull, M-E-W. We don't just use the generic word for seagulls. We have different types of gulls, and mew gull is the most common we see around. 47. Magpie. 48. That's a wood frog. That's the only amphibian in Denali National Park, and for someone like me who travels a lot, that's the ideal pet, because it freezes solid in the winter and then it thaws out in the summer. I can throw it in the freezer when I travel. And 49, that's also not easy. Sandhill cranes. Hopefully we'll see a sandhill crane up in Fairbanks. Well, I'll come back. Well, the one with 40, just make sure you see me. I've got a little gift for you. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll take the pens later. You can use those if you need for something else as well. Question, before you could drive the tunnel, how did it operate? It was just the train. So you had to put your car or the motor coach even onto the train. I pointed out that red roof building, that gift shop train depot. Right past there was a place to go up a little ramp, put the coach onto a flatbed truck, and they would truck the vehicles into the tunnel and to Whittier and the same way back. lot of snow here in Whittier. Where we're going to go tomorrow over Thompson Pass. That's one of the snowiest, probably the snowiest area in Alaska, but a lot of snow here in Whittier on this side of that tunnel. So you'll see Whittier is not a real big town. So I'd say even now begin checking around your seats. Make sure you take everything out of the overheads. We will not see Elle again. We won't see this coach. We'll see Jonathan tomorrow. And a different coach, actually, at Carl Ptarmigan.
You can look across the aisleways and see all those lockers underneath all the seats, denoting how many are in there, what size they are. Although by size, that is just children's and adult. So, and all the children's size life jackets, they are downstairs underneath the seats in the center row forward of the stairs. Apart from knowing where they are, you do need to know how to put them on. So your crew is stationed around the boat. You can look around. They're ready to show you how to put these on. Pretty simple. Just unclip that buckle from the ring and let the strap fall down. And spread it all apart. Place it over your head and then wrap the strap back around your back under your arms. And reclip it into that same ring and then pull on the loose end of the strap to tighten it up about your waist. Now these life jackets, they're designed to keep you afloat and up in the water, of course, but by no means warm or dry. So if there ever was an incident where leaving the boat is safer than staying on it, we would deploy our 3 inflatable life rafts. Those are the big white canisters up on the back of the boat. When deployed, they hold 50 persons apiece, which is more than enough room for everybody today. A couple other things for safety. As you're moving about the boat, we do just ask that you watch your step and use some caution, so we'll always have a hand free in case you do need to steady yourself. Watch where you're placing your feet as well. There are raised thresholds through all the doorways, as well as cleats on the bow. So be careful. Moving around is the number one thing. So please also move slowly. Please don't run. Just keep a walking pace. Also, please don't climb up the rails or over the side or up on top of the seats. Now, if you need to use the bathroom or the head, the bathrooms are located downstairs, outside, all the way to the back of the boat. There are 3 of them back there, and they are very sensitive marine heads, so we do just ask that only toilet paper and no other paper products are flushed down those. We have hot coffee, hot tea, cold lemonade, water free of charge in the galley. Help yourself down there. The kitchen right by the door you enter on. We also sell some things like hot chocolate, chips, candy bars, sodas, and whatnot, snack items. But more importantly, we are going to serve you all dinner today. And that dinner, by default, will be a chicken breast on a bed of rice with Alfredo sauce, some steamed vegetables, and a dinner roll. And we'll go into more detail about that meal when we are near the time to be serving it, just after the glacier, most likely. You are welcome all around the boat today. By no means are you glued down to your seats, so please use all the outer decks to your advantage for viewing or just walking around, whatever you want to do. Make yourselves at home. To get outside the doorways, they do say emergency exit, but you can use those all day long. You don't have to wait for an emergency to happen to go outside. Lastly, most importantly, we are operated as a non-smoking vessel, so we do appreciate no smoking of any type, substance, or form anywhere, anytime on the boat today. And that does include e-cigarettes and vapes. We really appreciate your cooperation with that. Thank you for your attention, and I'm going to turn it over to your captain.
Fish to the surface, and so it's a very good, plentiful food source for these flat-rig eels. Also looking for some other birds, a little blackbird with white racing stripes on their wings, and they are called pitching guillemots. If I can find them, I'll point them out. But they're usually some floating in the water between us and the shoreline. places were thought to have had oil soiled on the rocks and beaches following the Exxon Valdez oil spill back in March of 1989. But no oil came up here, but you could see how maybe if you were flying around in an aircraft at low tide looking for oily rocks and beaches, maybe this might look like oil. And we'll just kind of continue on. You might see some fish jumping in this area. These would be pink salmon returning to the fresh water. So salmon, the life of a salmon is they're born in fresh water. Sometimes that fresh water is hundreds of miles from the ocean. There's a seal swimming off to the left, right next to the rock shark. There's the dog's head in the water. Anyway, these salmon, born in fresh water, again, sometimes hundreds of miles from the ocean, and then they make their way to the ocean, and then they spend 2 to 7 years, depending on the species of salmon, and then they work their way back to the exact same fresh water in which they were born, and then they spawn or mate, and they die. That's kind of the life of a salmon. And so as they start to return, they jump. And nobody knows about the jumping. There are a lot of theories about why salmon jump. Some people think it's just the females that are jumping. They're getting their egg sacs ready for mating and spawning. Other people think that it's all of the salmon jumping to get their parasites off their bodies, again, in order to get to the spawning grounds in order to mate. Some people think it's like a physical fitness regimen. I'm sure you've seen videos or photos of salmon jumping up waterfalls and bears catching them and whatnot, getting into the fresh water. So maybe they're getting ready for that run upstream. And then there's another theory about why salmon jump, and this is actually my theory about why salmon jump. I think salmon jump because it's touching the ocean. It comes down from the 9,000 or 10,000 foot level of the Chugach Mountains and a place called the Columbia Ice Area up there that creates, all of the glaciers in Prince William Sound, most of the glaciers in Prince William Sound, as well as some other glaciers on the north side of these mountains that come down towards the Glen Highway. Now, Mears Glacier is about 13 miles long. At its base, it's about 0.6 of a mile wide and anywhere from 200 to 250 feet tall. A lot to talk about with glaciers and glaciology. So, glaciers, it's a rather new science. People weren't really studying glaciers until the late 1800s or the early 1900s, and by that time, all of the tidewater glaciers in North America, except for one, had receded. And so the only one that's waited until 1980 to recede is Columbia. We'll be going by the base or Columbia Bay a little bit later today. But basically, glaciers form of nature, and it just scours out the earth, filling that mountain rock below its face off to the side. And as it's moving towards the ocean, it's like a river, so it's going slowly towards the ocean. As it does that, it pushes that turbulent wave forward into the ocean. And that's the only way it is to the ocean. Centimeters a year, very, very slow. Mears Glacier is moving up to 10 meters a day. So if you went to the face of the glacier, went up a couple miles, stuck a flag, you could watch that flag coming towards us at up to 30 feet a day. And it's pressure from above. It's ice that's being created today in the upper elevations, and gravity and pressure that's bringing that glacier towards us. And then that ice falls off into the water. And very, very slowly, it'll scour out the backside of the moraine and deposit on the forward side of the moraine, on our side. And that's how the moraine moves. It's more like a slow, oftentimes sounds like gunshots or cannon fire sometimes. There is no way to predict when or where any calving might happen. All you can do is just continually scan the face of the glacier looking for movement. And there's nothing I can do to make it happen. I can't honk the horn. That just scares animals. For animals, as we depart this area, we should be able to find some harbor seals up here in the ice. But we're going to sit here. I'll turn the engines off and we'll sit for 20 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more if the glacier starts becoming active. But again, there's nothing I can do to make it happen, and there's nothing I can do to predict it. You just have to keep watching. There's a harbor seal swimming right off the bow. Oh, and I did mention that this glacier is advancing, but some of the ways you can tell is if you look out ahead of us to the left side of the face of the glacier, you can see where it's taking down some trees and eating up vegetation, and that is an advancing glacier. If this glacier was receding, it would just be barren rock there because, of course, it would have been under ice until very recently.
Photos of themselves over the glacier that we have on my